Okay, Sinatapi, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday Power Hour. Wow, today we're already in August. With today's topic is around forgiveness of the unforgivable and building allyships. Um, in a global sense, in a reservation sense, a rancheria sense, or a village sense. And so I just wanted to welcome you to Native Wellness Institute. We're here every Wednesday. We're coming to you live, Facebook, from the beginning of the pandemic in 2020. And we're now at a place, especially during the summer months, when how many of you during the summer months are you just like powwowing? You're just haven't decided to get married, decided to have celebratory memorials with every joyful stories of those that we lost. How many of you are just going on vacation? How many of you are decided to do something new, decided to do self-care? It is just so amazing. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I wanted to, I guess storytelling is a prayer. And I wanted to begin with, I've heard this saying over and over, and I hear the elders saying it now. It's the teachings of our ancestors. I was just on a really important meeting with Jalene Joseph, our executive director. So I wanted to start with a story, and it was kind of like the connection point of when they call it the IRS in Canada. It's the Indian Residential School thriving, healing, and connecting with the United States, where we are with our healing, and we got 570 tribes doing different beautiful things, using their ancestral wisdom to heal. But I wanted to share a story with you, and it starts with a holy rock. And I'm just going to hold it up because if you can look at the screen, that's awesome. If you see this petrified rock, and if you look at right here, the toes, and I'll just turn the rock around slowly. It's a good little heavy rock, but I wanted to start with this story, and it was 2018, before we went into the pandemic, and the Indian residential schools, they hadn't found, the 219 or all of the bodies that they found as yet, but there had been significant work. And all of the healers, and I'll call them traditional practitioners, you can call them whatever, there's no incorrect or correct name. But I was just laughing to myself because there's a lot of res dogs. People are saying, don't be a shit ass. They weren't shit asses. They were traditional people that put up ceremonies, traditional people that give Indian names, traditional people that marry people, that doctor people, that have people get ready for ceremony all year long. They were traditional practitioners. And some of them were from Treaty 7 area. There was a lot of our allies, the Cree people that are healing. There was the Sutina. There was some from Morley. Some even came over from other, they have, instead of states, they have provinces. But the story I wanted to share with you is the person before me, which is, credible, PhD, really fancy PowerPoint, talked about indigenous knowledge. And they had invited Native Wellness Institute to come up and to do healing with the Kaina area. So this rock So in our beginning of our, we met all day, but the quiz, it was like a traditional quiz. Like traditional quizzes, like when you go ask an elder something, they don't answer. They usually tell you a story, okay, right? And so the quiz was we handed this rock around. And this still has some ochre paint on it from being painted. And we asked, the quiz was, what's this in the rock? What's this imprint that looks like a big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and a anyway, so we handed it around. And at the end of the day, we wanted to know who had kind of guessed what this rock was. And we wanted to know how old it was. We wanted to know where it came from. We wanted to know, was there a story with it? And so then, we're on the power hour. I'm going to speed the storytelling up earlier. It was a lot of our Cree relatives who come to, Ninastico, our holy mountain here. I'm going to go up there right now because we have some visitors. And it's where we just released 30 of our ini, our buffalo. And there's a medicine wheel there you can pray with. So those in the room, the expertise, and there was, maybe about 40 of them. And a lot of kainai, a lot of siksikai, batsipikani, skapi pikani. And so they were looking at this rock and they said, they called it a petrified rock, a petrified stone. Maybe, of this, and, I told them it came out of the glaciers froze up and going to the Sun Road. So they took, so we're just starting the power hour with this story about this rock. If you just joined us, welcome. It's Wellness Wednesday. And so this rock, they had passed it around. And so the first man that answered was Cree, and his story, he started to talk about the Cree word for Bigfoot and the Cree word for little people. And in his story, he explained, like in Blackfoot, it's imoi tapi, and the ability to go in and out of dimensions. And in Cree, he said the base word for Bigfoot and also for little people is the same Cree word. And so then what he guessed was they were saying maybe this was 300,000 years old. So a little bit older than us. Right? A little bit older than us. They were guessing, because it was petrified and where it was found, and, it came out of the glacier into the frozen lake and landed on the shore where I found it and put out some tobacco. And it just intrigued me. And I've always, I keep it with my holy things over here by my badger dirt and where I light my smudges. So he said this is probably, it captured when the little people came into the dimension of the human form and was walking around. And there you see it. There you see the four toes, and you see the little footprint. And then, you can compare it, like I'll back up a little bit. It's little people. It's not a big people or a big old Blackfoot, some Blackfoots. Sheesh, I was looking at our basketball team. What size shoe you wear? Oh, 15. What size shoe you wear? 14, but this is more like a little people. And in his answering, he said that, so some of the answer to the quiz is probably, the little people, of course, they're barefoot, and we don't know, they weren't dressed in, Lauren Day prints or Bethany Yellowtail. they might have had breechcloth, or might have had animal skin on, or they might not have had nothing on. We don't know. They're the little people are sometimes you can see through them. They're kind of iridescent. So this little person that had shapeshifted into human form stepped into the mud and left this print. And then all of the 300,000 years, it got solid. It weathered in and out of winters, all of the four seasons. Even, you think about it, because like what was going on 300,000 years ago? Was it when the ice broke up north and came down and made the Rocky Mountains the backbone of the world? So this footprint. So I'm saying this for a reason. My intention is I want you to think about the goodness of everything before you that made you and gave you life. All of your ancestors. And so this print here. So then he went on and he just said, and so because its footprint is in this rock, he gave instructions. He said, you should take very good care of that rock. Just like an aniscum, we call it a buffalo stone. And just like I have another Baltic Sea amber that is rare and precious that came from Poland. Came from around what's going on in Ukraine. It's the resin that comes out of the ocean. It's the resin because it's petrified wood. So here you have petrified wood, Anatus Okotoks, a holy rock. And here you have Anatus Okotoks, the sun, that they're sacred rocks. And so I wanted to start with that story because why are rocks sacred? And you guys know that, like some of you, raise your hand if you collect rocks. I mean, you go and collect amber, and you go in along the seashore and you pick up rocks, or you're mountain climbing, or you might even pick up, earth clay to make earth paint. You might, we're just I have a lot of friends for some reason that pick up rocks that are shaped like a heart, like my earrings, and they love to, one of Shelley Means and Jill LaPointe, when they were over in Europe, or when they picked up rocks that look like a heart. They believe that the Natus, the holy rock, that if it's shaped like a heart, that it has some good potential healing for healing of the heart. And so I wanted to start with that story because I just want you to think, in your self-care today, in your healing, in your recovery, have you forgiven yourself for things that you may not be proud of when you were younger? Or have you forgiven others who may have bullied you or betrayed you, or were just an a-hole? And, hurt your feelings, hurt your heart, broke your heart, betrayed you. Or they hurt your children, or they hurt your family, or your mom, or your dad, or your tribe. Today I was listening to my colleague Jillian Joseph on our meeting, and every time I hear it, when I hear it, even though she was talking about white supremacy and colonialism and colonized, and we're all gonna vote next year, and even in this country, in your country, we vote and we have leaders, we have elected leaders, but every time I hear that word, white supremacy, there's a part of me, and I have tears, because It's better to cry than to get pissed off and knock them out. but but I have those feelings where I fiercely want to fight them. I have those feelings where I have white blood in me. So how could I hate the white blood in me? How could I hate my one grandpa that came over and snuck into camp and loved up grandma and never left? How could I? But I think that is a different than white supremacy, where you feel like you're superior and you know what us Indians need, or you know how to take care of us. You know how to make us your maids and put us in schools to be domestic, eh? Sheesh, aren't you glad you're in this era where you have some freedom of choice and you can go to a tribal college, you can go to a university, or you could go to a trade school, or you might be good at technology. I have a lot of little relatives right now who are just zooming in their careers because they are ace at technology, ace at development, ace at constructing algorithms. We won't go there because those white supremacy algorithms, the ones that tell you to get a Christmas tree and buy 400 presents for your grandchildren, and the ones that tell you that you need an Easter bunny, eh? I mean, this. So I wanted to start with the story of this holy rock, and then I want to, this is global, because Native Wellness Institute, we're getting very ready. We're getting very ready for the Healing the Spirit Worldwide in Vancouver. And I just want to say, I would like, hear my intention, and it's just the Indian humor. My intention is we of all races and all cultures need to reevaluate and to build allyship with each other, to build a friendship, to begin, and what that takes, and those of you, in recovery, you have to. It's like we have to trust. We have to make new friends. We have to trust ourselves. They say very early, there's a saying that if you hang around in a barbershop, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So if you're hanging out and slippery, and they even call it a slip, if you're hanging out in slippery places, sooner or later you're going to slip, and so this coming together and forgiveness. So let's speak about forgiveness of self. As always, to keep it confidential. When you keep it confidential, you can talk about the story. You just don't use no names or identifiable, so someone could guess who it is. But this guy with orange hair. Hey, I won't talk about him. But I have a very long time friend. Just as I, as a parent, and just as many of you as a parent, we struggle at different stages of our children's lives, and parenting, when we can softly guide them. I don't know. I'm just going to hold on to this rock because it just feels really good right now. And when we need to let them experience the world. And so we may, I was hearing some saying, I'm a helicopter parent, like zzz, over the kid. You totally control who they're with, follow them. Even one father said when his daughter went out on a date, he followed them in the car, hoping they weren't seeing him, because he just wanted to make sure that his daughter was treated properly. So he's like, they're going to their date, and there's dad. Dun, 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 dun. But, the helicopter, or the helicopter mom that dresses you in the morning, that goes through your whole schedule. It's all controlled. You're gonna take piano lessons, and you're gonna take ballet lessons, and then you're gonna go to sports, and then you're gonna read your books, and you're gonna do your homework. They got everything scheduled out, so there's no room for messing up. Helicopter parents, as opposed to, and I was thinking, wow, what is Blackfoot, or what is Indian teaching? I mean, I had a grandma who, and my parents, because they were allowed, grandma and grandpa, to. I had all four of them, so, but one of my grandma would have a lesson, and the lesson was, she would say, okay, go out, and go out and come back by dinner or supper. Someone would call it supper, or come back by dinner. And I just remember, and I was young, because I remember when on my 5th birthday, I went out, and I would go out, and I remember going out, and one of my favorite things was to lay on a hill on my back and look up at the clouds, and I would make stories by how the clouds were. They would shape forms, and they were all good stories. There were no rough stories, but they were adventurous stories, because like if the cloud looked like a rider with the horseback who had a bow, or if it was, because I knew stories of when two people potentially were going to get married in court and fall in love. So I would make up stories about, okay, well, maybe the eagle and maybe the loon were going to enter into a relationship. And look at that cloud, looks like a loon, and look at that, it looks like an eagle. And then they start to get to know each other. And then my little person's thought is like, yeah, but they can't, because one's a loon, one's an eagle. They can't make a hybrid, a eagle loon baby. So I had these thoughts, and so. But I would come back, and this is how I thought this is, and there wasn't Head Start, so I didn't go to Head Start. There wasn't preschool, so I didn't go to preschool. And this is the weird thing, we didn't have television, so there wasn't no screen to stare at or babysit your kid with a tablet. And so I would just go out, and then I would watch birds. I remember watching birds, and I would sit there, especially when they made a nest. I would watch them fly away, come back, and then when the babies were born, I would watch them come and feed the babies. And then I would watch, even bigger animals, like sneak up and lay on my belly and watch deer, watching elk. I was kind of taught not to pet bears. But this is weird, I used to take, I got like a sweetgrass. My grandma was saying you learn a lot from an animal by their poop, so I used to take sticks, and you could tell what they ate. And so I used to, all of that. So I was like Gene Tagabon, Uncle Gene, really dissecting poop. I guess I was a biologist. And I just remember seeing the bear poop and taking the stick and going, woo, this bear been eating berries. Just like now, my house is surrounded by berries, and I got bear scat all over. So when it's steaming, I go the other way. They say, when that bear scat is steaming, you better go back the other way. But I remember looking at the leaves of plants. I remember smelling peppermint. A lot of peppermint, because where we were, there was just open wild peppermint near what we call Birch Creek and Little Badger and Big Badger. Those are all rivers that come from the Triple Divide. But I remember going along, and every once in a while I would come up on something that was just, I didn't know what it was. And so Grandma used to always say, when you don't know what it is, you gotta like talk to it, and you gotta talk to it in your head. And I think she was trying to teach me about, and I know she was, about telepathy. She said, it's not always your word. It's kind of like, when you go somewhere and you see someone and you go, oh, that's an interesting person. They look so familiar, you know. But I would talk to something, if I seen it, I would just introduce myself. Like introduce myself, you know, my that time Nistu Okstokoma. Grandma Agnes named me Okstokoma. It meant the characteristics of the black mole on the prairie. That was my name at that time. So I'd introduce myself in my head, telepathy, and then I would say, "And who are you?" And then I would just wait. And she said, "Always wait, because it'll telepathy start to talk back to you and in your mind." And so sometimes, you know, I remember seeing little baby woodpeckers, and I, you know, when I'd say, "Who are you?" It seemed like they said, we're we're the we're the winged spotted ones, spotted feathered ones, something like that. So in my mind I would say, "Oh, okay, so hi, winged, spotted feather," so I'm sharing that with you, that story, because that's how we learned. But how do we bring that into 2023, and just having come through a pandemic of 3.5 years? How do we bring, and that's where this forgiveness, and that's where this allyship. This is, I'm going to leave here, and I'm going because two young people, Wyatt and Christine Falcon and Wyatt Weipert, they helped build, in June, we built a medicine wheel up on going towards the Nastico Chief. And this medicine wheel, we built it with, they brought some rocks, and you could bring your own rocks. And, since we're talking about rocks, I went out and I took a walk, and I put tobacco, and I got 2 rocks to build the medicine wheel. And so did others. It was kind of interesting. Some came from Canada. So we built this medicine wheel. And I think John Murray named it like the Big Bull Spirit, but it's about Eni. It's about bringing back the buffalo. And so, just like, I don't know, and crazy, badass auntie, I was saying, are there going to be some white people? Because it's different when there's just Indians. And she goes, "But they're the funders." And I go, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll come up, and I'll just observe, and I won't scare them." Eh? So that's building trust. And like I started here, trusting ourselves. And I know in the early years, especially those first 5 years of recovery, I had to they say, to stay in the middle of the herd. So I stuck really close to people who didn't drink. I stuck really close to 12-step. And I had to shed my old relationships, because they were my using friends. They were my drinking buddies. And so that first 5 years, I would just stay in the middle of the herd, because I was not capable of making good decisions, and my life would become unmanageable. And so that first 5 years of recovery, I had to trust myself. And then even now, I've been blessed with 35 and a half years of clean and sober life, and 50 years in Al-Anon. But I still have to I still have to work on trusting myself. So I have trustworthy friends where, especially if, on big decisions or little decisions, I talk to them, and I'll say, "This is what I'm thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. Can you give me some feedback? Can you know me well? What would be best for my recovery, or what would be best for me, or my family, or my tribe?" And so it's really, I guess, some would call that a sponsor, but I would call it a mentor. Because one of the things that I've learned in trusting myself is I have to look around, and I have to look around at people that I admire, and I have to hang with them. I have to be with them. I have to see how they make decisions. I have to see how they organize their household. I have to see how they love. I have to see how I was just looking around for my big old bottle of water, which I probably set somewhere else. So I'm gonna get it. But I wanted to so that trusting yourself is you have to find those mentors. Ooh, I got some sparkling water. I'm addicted to sparkling water. I love Perrier. I love bubbly. I love this seltzer water. And then I've been just drinking plain water that I put electrolyte in. And so that trusting ourselves. Part of today is I think that we're in a different transformation after the pandemic, because we went through a traumatic experience, but for some of us, it was a pretty good experience because we got our bubble, we got to be with the people we love. It was a good experience for my tribe because we just sealed off our reservation and we just lived together. I think, even at Belknap, at Rocky Boy, Salish Kootenai, Upsalaga Crow, Northern Cheyenne, even over to Fort Peck, that we kind of like sealed ourselves off. So we, like here, we found out that, we lost 67 elders right off that first couple of years to COVID-19. But if for every elder we lost, we had 8 or 9 babies. So we just discovered, because like we have all these baby showers now, and all of the babies have real black hair and it sticks straight up. Like they have a head full of black hair because we didn't go out. It was Blackfeet with Blackfeet. There was a lot of good snagging and good lovemaking going on the Blackfeet reservation because we got all these babies. And you probably raise your hand if you got a whole bunch of babies over there at Pine Ridge. Raise your hand if you got a whole bunch over at White Earth or Navajo Nation. We got a bunch of babies because we had a time for some really good intimacy. We had time for some good love making, and we made babies. So, woohoo! A whole bunch of Indian babies. Unless you were stranded in New York or whatever, and you had to drive home to snag. Hey. So this trusting ourselves. It's such a heavy-hearted time because we're all going on vacation. Things we couldn't do. We couldn't be at the powwow. There's everyone's there. We couldn't be at the festivals, the celebrations. We couldn't. I just see it. We're having Heartbeat Indian Days very soon here, starting today with Youth Day, and then we have the bull shoe race, we have grand entry, we have some marriages going on, and we have some memorials. And those of you, like even this week I'm doing the Power Hour for Native Wellness Institute, but I'm kind of on vacation. But while I've been on vacation, yesterday there was a ceremony of a headdress. Then there was a 10K. Then there was people wanting to learn to put up a teepee and how you roll it up. And then there was Indigenous games, and and I thought, whoo, this is tiring being on vacation. You just gotta stay home if you want to be on vacation. No, that's not what I want to be. But think about how we're all rebirthing, and I guess how in your rebirthing in 2023. And yes, it is August. Yes, it is Crow Fair, and yes, it is the 27th annual Two Spirit a gathering. And yes, there's going to be there's Picani at Brockett just had their doings. There is just so many incredible ceremonies. The Ixkanaks here just finished helping with all their prayers. Sixikai, the all the Okons, all the sun dances, all of this is happening. And I think we're rebirthing. So in this rebirthing for yourself, please consider forgiveness of others and forgiveness of yourself and of the deep stuff, and letting that go and letting that go. So, back to my one friend, she was sharing over the we always are with our children, and some of our children just go along and they become adults, they become mature. But if you have a child, a daughter or son or LGBTQ child that has an addiction, it's a different journey as a parent because of that unconditional love. And that unconditional love with your children, when they're good to go, you don't have to worry about them. Here, this is the way our women worry. They sit there and their thumbs go like this, or you see them going, "Oh shit," because what their kid did again. But when we're okay in our heart and we feel either with detachment, we feel confident that if they've got themselves into trouble, even in jail, that they will get themselves out of it without us having to rescue them. Right? So, then this friend, her son had become violent on her. And so it had never gone to that, the anger of the addiction. Now remember, and we were visiting, I said, you have to separate the person from the addiction. So sometimes, because if we just concentrate on that addiction, it's pretty easy to, just get so angry and to get so hurt, because that addiction is cunning, baffling, and powerful. But if we pray for, because sometimes as a parent, and this is our discussion became, all we have is our prayers for our children. All we have is for our self-care. I mean, we can't, if it's the 20th time you've had to post bail, come on now, that's bull. The 20th, the 30th time you had to post bail, that, you had to sell this to go get them. You had to hawk this to go to save them, to rescue them. That's when you reach a certain point of elderhood, they're supposed to give you money. Did you know that? They're supposed to give you money, not you be getting soaked and giving them, the first of the month, they're supposed to be giving you money. They're supposed to be giving their time. They're supposed to be helping you as an elder. Got it? So but I remember our conversation, and I'm bringing it up because she was crying, and she said, "Oh, I'm just a god dang enabler. I enable him, and I just gotta, god dang it, I just gotta stop enabling my son. I just got, it was just, and she was crying, and she goes, but some days I don't know how to stop. Some days I suffer. I want to help my child. I don't want harm to come to them." So we went through, and I have these tears because I got a couple of kids or people that I raised out there, and I think they're alive. I don't know where they are right now. I know one was in jail, and that's, that self-care, that one thing I've learned in this pandemic as an elder is we gotta give our energy to helping others, a certain amount of energy. But as you become an elder, you got to grab the rest of that energy and take care of yourself. Self-care. Take care of the things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, or that let you sleep good at night. And that's really a good gauge. Do you sleep good at night? Are you able to let go, let God, say the prayers, and then carry on with a good night's sleep and a good night's dream? I always like to say, sweetgrass dreams. So, even that's, I guess, getting the sweetgrass out, and lighting, all of us have, you might have a abalone shell, Blackfoots, we have like badger dirt in a smudge box, and lighting the sweetgrass, so you have sweetgrass dreams. So this is so I wanted to share with you. Most of my mother of 84, soon to be 85, because she wants a certain kind of birthday party in a couple of months in October. She's gonna be 85, but these are some of the things that I treasure, and I notice when we're together, my mom and I say the same things. And one of the sayings that we've been saying lately, and because there's a lot to do, and especially if all the cooking needs to be done, and you forgot the pegs and the buttons to the teepee, the lodge, all these kind of things, is she always says, slow down. Slow down, and life is not an emergency. And we might be, yeah, it is. Oh, I like drama. Oh, yeah, I'm late. Oh, yeah, I didn't sleep for, 2 days, and I'm still trying to, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And she'll say, slow down, pace yourself, pay attention to your breathing. So I always sit up straight and pay attention to my breathing and say, life is not an emergency. Life is not an emergency. And then what Mom says after that is, she says, ask what you need to do to make sure you're okay. So, I say, well, okay, Theda, what do you got to do to make sure you're okay? You smudge? Do you need to drink some water? Do you need to call a friend? Do you need to drive your goddamn butt to an AA meeting? Do you need to go to a gathering? Do you need to go? And she'll say that, and then she'll say, just get quiet. Just like that story, how I started and how Grandma would send me out in the woods. Get quiet with yourself. Pay attention to your breathing. Coming into the here and now. And that is, so how do you come into the here and now? I have a very good friend in the program, Teresa, and another good friend. And I said, they said that Buddhists, they always, with their pinky and their ring finger, and if you look at when they're in their meditative state, a lot of times they're like this. And it's said to practice. So this is one of the practices. Since I read that, it said when you really need to hear someone, like hear their heart, just to hearing bullshit, but when you really need to hear them, put your fingers like this, and so I was in a talking circle, and I really wanted to stay present. So whenever I want to stay present, I've been starting to put my, and not up here, not trying to look like Buddha, put out my big fat belly and look like Buddha. I mean, I would even, like, under the table or on my lap, I rest my fingers like this, and I would say, Hayos Jabatapi, please let me be present. Let me hear this person. Let me hear their heart. And so I would hold my fingers like that. And then there was another, and these are just self-care. These are taking care of yourself. The other Buddhist hand, it's if you put your hand like this and bring it by your heart, that you consciously have a boundary, that you consciously have a barrier, especially if it's something not good, it could be some kind of chaos, some kind of violence, Republican, eh? Republican is to put your hands like this and put it right by your heart. And to put it right by your heart so that your heart is cushioned and not just penetrated and hurt, and that you actually, but when you're doing this, it says it's like the yin and the yang. You also open your heart up to just the good things coming in. So sometimes I'll be listening, or I'll be in a situation, especially if you don't know what should be the next thing to happen. And I'll put my hands like that, and I'll put it here, and then I'll just say internally a prayer. Please let me help the situation and contribute something that will help the entire circle, or the entire ceremony, or the entire group, or the entire arbor, or the entire, wherever you are, to, even on the airplane. I do this because sometimes they always sit me next to the person who it's their first time flying and they're flipping out. So I just thought, okay, I'm in the here and now. This person next to me is flipping out. So what I always start to visit with them, and ask where they were born, ask where they live, and then I ask how many children they have, and tell me their names, and then I ask, do they have a dog or a cat, or and then whatever they put up, and I said, well, tell me about that kid, tell me about that dog, tell me about, and you get them out of the fear part of, the frontal lobe, and you get them to the loving part. It's like that telepathy that, of learning to talk to rocks and animals and things. You send out a message, and it's good to look right in their eyes and just send out, I'm here. We're okay. We're going to fly on this plane. Everything's going to go okay. We're two human beings sitting real close to each other, so we should have good energy between each other. We should have that here and now. And so those were hand-holding things. But I was thinking about that today because I was trying to, there's been I have some pet skunks, but I was thinking about some of the little chickadees, and they're like little gophers, they're little chipmunks, but they're very small, and I don't want them to run in my house. So I told them, I said, if you hear me do this, like that, that means Mr. Put, get the hell out of here. No, miss, get out of here. So we have a communication, and so that being in the here and now, so when I see them, I go, and they just go, they scatter, and there's no destructive, I don't have to get a pellet gun or whatever. People do things to animals, which they shouldn't. And so there's that communication. So how else do you stay in the here and now? You're breathing, looking at your surroundings, looking at, I always, this right here, we've said many times, these are Blackfoot prayer colors. This is what some traders and the first outsiders, some people call them invaders. So when the invaders came, they saw these prayer colors hanging in the trees with our prayers, and they learned the protocol. And so they made a blanket out of this, like this blanket. They made a blanket, and they came and they gave that blanket to our head chiefs, our Blackfoot chiefs, and they asked for permission to come in the territory. So staying in the here and now, your surroundings, I'm looking at my surroundings. I can see out to the lake, and maybe I think I'm going to walk you outside. And staying in the here and now is part of it, is becoming comfortable with the space that you're in. And so I'm gonna this is I'm just gonna walk you outside. This is where I live. And being in the here and now, it's it's 80 degrees. I see we might have some lightning and some thunder. And the water is kind of calm. And trying to, I wanted to share with you right here in the here and now. This is a double ball set, a double ball, and that's a double ball. And I'm going to, that was something that I put together with one of my children, and I'm going to gift it today. I've already gifted it. So you look at your surroundings. I'm building allyship with the Hooderites. The Hooderites come into my community every Wednesday. I'm going to see if they're over there because they had starter plants. And look at, I bought all these starter plants from the Hooderites for just a couple of dollars. The plant was just one flower like this. The plant was, and then we got a little friend, was just one flower. All of these plants. And then here, my niece gave me, this is a Salmon River squash. So this is an example. How do you become in the here and now? And I'm looking out at the water, and I'm just gonna take you, let's look at the water. To come into the here and now, that water, what you see over coming down this way, comes from the glaciers that are Triple Divide that are up that way. What you see in this water, if you look, this is I always, in our tribe, owls are sacred, and we were raised, there's a lot of owls where we're at. But if you look straight out, there's 32 loons on the corner there, in the far behind the boat. And those 32 loons, I've watched them since they were born. The loons come and they have their babies, and those first couple of days, they actually let the babies, just like any of our children, swim on their back, but they throw them off like about the third or the fourth day. Just like you need to let your children go and let them live their life and not be a helicopter parent. Okay, so I'm going to take you back because I just wanted to bring you into the here and now with these loons. And then as you come up to my backyard right here, you can see how clear the water is. And if I didn't have to go to Chief Mountain, I would jump in the water right now, because one of the things that can bring you to the here and now is jumping in the water. And if you don't live by running water, run a hot bath. Put something smells good. Ooh, that lavender in the hot bath. And jump into the water there. And let the water clean you off. Let the water go over your body. Let good smells come to you and to wash your body. That's a way to clean off, especially if you've been around something toxic or something not so good. I was just looking at, the cottonwood here. One of the Anishinaabe people, and they say that, when you break the branch, there's a star on every branch. There's a star in the tree. And those are like, the cottonwood that we use for Sundance, the cottonwood that we use to build lodges, the quaking ash, wow, look at that. I'm just taking you in the here and now, and think about the here and now and the 4 seasons. We're in summertime. We just had an incredible sturgeon moon. We just heard that the moon and Mercury are having clashes. That's why some people's energy might be interrupted, or you run into things that are such a challenge. So let's, as we're kind of winding down in these last 5 minutes of the power hour, I wanted to share with you, Native Wellness Institute. Over and over, we're here, but we have learned that you can't give away what you don't have. And you can only take people as far as you have come. It's that the self-care is just mandatory. The self-care, the spiritual, learning to be telepathic, talking with your mind, and sending out energy. If someone is, haven't got energy, send them love. I like how Jeline says it, to send them red ribbons, that surround them with love. Send them, just say, hey, I want to be your friend, and say it telepathically. How can we become allies? How can we become friends? Because when in building allyship, that ability is a superpower. To build friendships, to build trust, that's a superpower. To give other people inspiration, to give words of encouragement. Stop criticizing and only give words of encouragement. Only give words that inspire. Only give, we say, productive, proactive. Because I think that, our elders here, they say a prayer, and they say, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to go good. And then when they say that, I just breathe easier. Like whatever burden was on my shoulders, it gets released, it gets shedded. And shed the things. It's in August, as we get ready to buy school clothes, as we get ready to shift into fall. Shed the things that you don't need to carry anymore. I got off a couple boards, shed being work details. We can't do everything. Where so many things are going on, you're going to become exhausted and have a stroke if you keep going like that. Shed some things, but then reevaluate, reflect. Like, when are you the happiest? Like, this might sound weird. I just showed you my happiness. Every morning I light a smudge and I water these plants, and I kiss the leaves. I give them a kiss and tell them, I really want you to grow. I really wanted just for you to be beautiful till the first blizzard, And then I go out to the berries and I eat some berries, and the choke cherries are starting to come in. I'm taking you to my happy place, because I guess I'm trusting that you won't just think I'm a crazy old lady in the woods, because I'm not. Or maybe I am, but that's okay. I love this water. I jump in this water every day. Some days I just put shampoo on top of my head and I jump in the water. I sing a calling song. I call the water spirits, and then I dive in, and then I lose track of time. Sometimes I have to remind myself, oh yeah, you gotta get out and get back to work. I just be floating around in the water. I just be taking a swim. Just doing all of those. So as I'm winding down, I want you to think about how you're taking care of yourself. How you can take better care of yourself, and how surround yourself with people who love you. Surround yourself with people who do the same things that you do. And the other people, later on, just put my mom, and that's the last thing I'll say. Mom would always say, she says, during Indian days, this is our family rule. And we're, okay, Mom's going to tell us the family rule. She said, if you see trouble coming, I want you to jump back and let it pass on by. So we would look at Mom in sign language, and she'd go, that's trouble. So then we would jump back and we would let it pass on by, and we didn't interact. And so with that, I'm going to say, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Our hour is up. Welcome, Native Wellness Institute, where we have in person. You can go to our YouTube. It's free. All of our power hours are on YouTube. Anything. And so I even re-listen to them. Oh man, especially the power hours with Joe Day, who we lost. I like to listen to them. And the reason I got on Res Dogs is because they saw the power hour that I did on critical race theory. And then they looked at the other power hours and they sought me out. You never know. Go live on your page. Just tell a story, read your poem, sing a song. And so with that, Native Wellness Institute, we'll see you next Wednesday. So kitaki to matsuno.